You see these simple icons all the time, right? A farm, a fish, a loaf of bread. They represent something we all do every single day, eat. But behind these really familiar things is one of the most complex, most vital systems on the entire planet, the global food web.
I mean, have you ever really thought about your lunch today? Where did every single ingredient in that salad or sandwich actually come from? The journey from some field somewhere to your plate might seem simple, but trust me, it's way more complex and fascinating than you'd ever imagine.
And that's the key right there. We're not talking about a simple journey. We're talking about a vast, interconnected system, one where absolutely everything is linked. From, the health of the soil and the laws on the books, to the tech in a factory and the shopping cart you push at the grocery store.
All right, so to get our heads around this, let's start with the most common way we think about this whole thing, the simple farm-to-fork story. This is the model that we all kind of get, right? It's a linear story, a straight line that starts on a farm and ends, well, with your fork. Pretty simple. So this linear chain is usually broken down into 5 pretty clear steps. It all kicks off with production, that's the actual farming, the fishing, the ranching. Then it moves to processing, where you turn all those raw ingredients into stuff we recognize. Next up is distribution, which is just getting that food to the stores. Consumption, well, that's us, eating it. And finally, there's waste, which is dealing with everything that gets left over.
And hey, don't get me wrong, this model isn't bad. In fact, it's incredibly useful. It helps us with traceability, figuring out where our food came from. It's also absolutely essential for making sure our food is safe and for quality assurance all the way from the farm to the store shelf.
So yeah, that's the simple, straightforward story we tend to tell ourselves.
But here's the million-dollar question. What is that simple story leaving out? And, well, it turns out it's leaving out a whole lot.
So let's pull back the curtain and take a look at the more complex reality. Our food system isn't really a chain at all. It's a web.
Now, the fancy term experts use for this is a complex adaptive system. I know, it sounds super academic, but the idea is actually pretty simple. It's a system where tons of different parts, like farmers, government regulators, and even us as consumers, are all interacting, all influencing each other, and all constantly changing. So what makes a web so different from a chain? Well, for one, it's non-linear. That means one tiny change, say a new bug affecting one type of crop, can have these huge, unexpected ripple effects on prices across the globe. It's also got feedback loops. For example, when more of us buy organic food, it pushes more farmers to go organic, which can then lower prices and boost demand even more. See? The whole web is always adapting. And the scale here is just massive. We're not just talking about farmers and consumers anymore. You've got to factor in government regulators, global markets that are always in flux, new food technologies, and the health of entire ecosystems. They're all connected, all interacting in this huge, dynamic web. So the big takeaway here is this shift in thinking. We need to move away from that idea of a simple, predictable chain and really embrace the reality of this complex, interconnected, and sometimes totally unpredictable web. And this quote from the source material just nails it. A drought in one country can mess with food prices on the complete other side of the world. A new food safety law can reshape entire supply chains overnight. Everything is connected.
Okay, so a chain, a web, why does this actually matter? What's the big deal? Let's connect this kind of abstract idea to some real-world action.
Well, when this web is healthy and working right, the benefits are enormous. We're talking about food security, making sure people have enough to eat. It drives economic development by creating jobs. It supports our health through nutritional well-being. And when we manage it right, it helps promote environmental sustainability for the planet. And thinking in terms of a web is absolutely essential for solving our biggest challenges. You can't tackle the effects of climate change on farming by just looking at one farm. You can't fix global supply chain disruptions, like why your favorite pasta was suddenly out of stock for a month, by looking at just one factory. You have to see the whole interconnected web to find real, lasting solutions. So you see, looking at our food system as a web isn't just a mental exercise. It's a practical tool. It's what allows us to build a food future that is more resilient to shocks, more sustainable for our planet, and more equitable for every single person in the system.
And that leaves us with one final and really important question. As a consumer, as a citizen, as a participant in this gigantic, complex system, what role will you play?